Hi, my name is Brandy Moore, and we're here again looking further into Luke 4:14 through 30 for my attending project. And today we're going to figure out a few more questions. And the first question that we're going to look at is what was the beginning or the settled story in the beginning? And then we're going to look further into what the trouble was and were there any hints about it? And what can we imagine after the fact of the trouble being presented? And so we're looking in the beginning and we're seeing that Jesus was filled with the Spirit, of course, and he was in Galilee. He first began his journey in Galilee and he was accepted. He was surely accepted. He preached in the synagogue and he taught there. And they actually took the time to go out and spread news about him and were happy with all special notes of that all they were all glorified from his teachings, and they glorified him, they exalted him, they were happy and they accepted all the things that he had taught. And that's a settled beginning there, and even we look further into when Jesus was reading the scriptures, they were acceptive of him when he finally went into Nazareth. So he went into Nazareth and, he's in the synagogue, he's teaching again, and the people are attentive. They have a normal reaction to Jesus' teaching. And it seems just fine. But we get a little bit of a hint towards possibly some trouble when he's actually in Nazareth. When Jesus came back home to Nazareth, it didn't mention the same reaction that Galilee had. Galilee had a reaction of him being accepted, and they were excited, and they spread the news about him being there, all of that. But when he came to Nazareth, it didn't mention that in the Bible. It mentioned him coming into the synagogue as he usually does on the Sabbath and teaching. That's it. I didn't explain anything about a certain reaction that Nazareth had, which is actually very interesting. And the further I looked at it, I realized that. And I was like, that may be possibly a hint that something's about to happen in Nazareth that is not normal to Jesus when he's teaching. And even after Jesus had finished preaching out of the scroll of Isaiah, the people were asking, isn't this Joseph's son? And maybe it could have been a negative connotation within that question, that this is Joseph's son. Like, why are we even here listening to this guy? It could have been that. And that could have been possibly a hint saying, when the Bible mentions the people actually asking questions about Jesus and his father, that maybe the people wouldn't be so receptive of him anyway. And so we get to the main part, which is the trouble. And the trouble that I seen firsthand would probably be when he first said, truly, I tell you that no prophet will be accepted even in his own hometown. I seen that as the first part of the trouble, that he just told the people, you're not going to like me anyway. Because I was born here, I was raised here. You're not going to accept me. And so that right there probably turned the perspective of the congregation into more of a negative thing. And then it probably went even further when you get into verses 25 through 27, where Jesus is talking about Elijah and Elisha and how they were sent out to save people that were not Jews. And of course, when Jesus taught that, that was an insult. And of course, after hearing, you're not going to accept me first in my own hometown. Second, you weren't even worthy of a healing after you may ask the question, why don't you do the same things that you've been doing everywhere else? And of course, come verse 28, they're enraged. They're angry. They hate him. and by verse 29 they're ready to kill him. So it's just a chain of events that end up leading into trying to murder Jesus. And so we learn that even in verse 30, when Jesus walks away, which I find it a miracle that Jesus walks away out of these mob of people trying to kill him because he just insulted them in their own church, that we're able to walk away. And that's an encouragement, because we need the Spirit. And Jesus, throughout his teachings, throughout the entire Bible, Jesus actually teaches about, even in his incarnation here on earth, that he respects and he needs the Spirit. And that's a lesson to us as Christians, that we need the Spirit of God. And that even in the midst of opposition coming our way, how Jesus was able to turn his cheek. That we need to turn our cheek against those opposition, that it's not our fight, it's not our battle, that God fights our battles for us. God was fighting his battle for Jesus. Jesus didn't say a thing. We don't know if he said anything. We don't know if anything like that, but from what it looks like, Jesus just walked away. Maybe Jesus was quiet. Maybe Jesus just simply walked. And because of that, God had empowered him. God had empowered him to leave. Turn the other cheek. It's not worth the fight. Let go. Let God. And so we imagine a world of, after Jesus walks away, the people are angry. They're talking about him. They're gossiping. Jesus can't be accepted back into his own town even. It's a tough thing. And even that may even explain the things that happened when Jesus was bearing the cross, that the opposition that he had, that, hey, those people really weren't receptive of him in the first place. And, even in the midst of our opposition, that we can walk away from things. It's an inspiration. And that's what we should look at as Christians, that even in the midst of whatever troubles you're having, whatever troubles you're having on your job, troubles you're having at school, troubles you're having in the midst of even in your own family sometimes, that we can turn the other cheek and show the goodness within our heart to them in the midst of them being wrong to you. So that's my encouragement for you today as we look further into Luke 4:14 through 30. Be blessed.